Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today, we will be discussing about the continuing stalemate at India-China border in eastern Ladakh. It's now 3 months since the military face-off between India and China began on the line of actual control in Ladakh, and there seems to be no end in sight. The two sides have held several rounds of military and diplomatic talks, the latest being just 2 days back. But China is clearly acting stubborn and refusing to pull back its troops. To make things worse, Chinese ambassador to India recently said the disengagement has been completed in most of the areas, something which India refuted. India says China is not sincerely undertaking the disengagement as per understanding reached during talks at the level of NSAs. So, how should we see the situation? When will the stalemate end? We will discuss such questions in the agenda today. To help us understand the situation, we have with us retired Lieutenant General Rameshwar Roy, who has served as Corps Commander in Jammu and Kashmir. But before we begin our conversation, let us have a look at this small report.
It was in early May when the troops of India and China got locked in a face-off on the line of actual control in Ladakh. 3 months on, standoff continues. Rather, it has entered a phase of extreme difficulties with China refusing to implement the understanding reached in military and diplomatic talks, including at the level of National Security Advisor. According to reports, China is simply refusing to pull back its troops, reflecting China's stubborn attitude. Its ambassador to India said a few days back that the disengagement has been completed in most of the areas. This was immediately contested by the Indian government, which said the disengagement process is still underway and stressed that China should sincerely undertake disengagement. Meanwhile, China has mobilized tens of thousands of troops along the LAC. It is building concrete roads up to the friction points and has constructed concrete military posts in areas which were perceived to be under India's domain since the border is not clearly and mutually demarcated. India too has moved matching troops and military assets to the LAC. Going by all the reports and inputs, it is clear that China has immensely raised stakes in Ladakh and India is faced with an extremely difficult situations of ensuring status quo ante. The several rounds of the military and diplomatic talks have failed to resolve the matter, and the longer the stalemate continues, the more are the worries. Bureau Report.
So let's welcome General Roy to the program. General Roy, let me welcome to the program, and let me begin by asking, it's now 3 months. So how do you see the situation? The stalemate continues.
You see, Ajay, we should have actually expected this kind of a stalemate, and going by the Chinese behavior and the kind of strategy that they have followed in the past, or they are going to follow in future also, that they will say something else on the ground, they will do something else. And this has been the trend right since 1962. So here also, I have been maintaining right from the beginning of May, ever since their encroachment or incursions were known to us, that Chinese, the kind of preparations that they had made, the kind of war material that they had carried, the equipment they had carried, and the strength, the numbers that they had come, it should have been expected that they have got this time very, very serious designs, and they have made a strategy. They have come as per the plan. They had made this ingress in 4 to 5 points, and even when the negotiations had started, and fifth round of negotiations have just got concluded with not much of positive indications. We knew that these people, the PLA has come in a manner that they are not prepared to go back. Now, what has happened is that they have been able to capture all these areas across, in fact, beyond their own perceived line of actual control. And having captured these areas without firing a single bullet, notwithstanding the clashes which took place in which we lost 20 of our bravehearts, and they also lost maybe double the number. But the fact of the matter is that after that, they very successfully involved us in what is called disengagement. Now, disengagement process means Indian Army and the PLA of China will not get involved in the physical fight, either face-to-face fight or fight with weapons. So, having achieved this disengagement, now they are sitting very pretty for all the gains that they have made, and they seem to be in no mind to sort of go back, and they are just buying time to consolidate their positions. And my assessment is that as the winters are approaching, our actions will get restricted, and they will continue to sit here. And this kind of a process, I don't know how many years will it carry on.
So you made 2 points, sir. One point is that China came with a clear design. So did we not read their designs properly? Second point, you also said that without firing a bullet, China has captured so many places about the perceived LAC. So I mean, we lost. That means we lost. So I mean, some posts or maybe some areas without firing a bullet. So is there a need to fire bullets to retrieve those areas?
See, one thing I can tell you for sure. China is one country which only respects strength. And we need to show our strength. In the initial stages of our engagement with them, we showed them the strength. Even when our troops did not have the weapons, they caused them enough casualties, and they suffered maybe twice the number of deaths than what we had. But after that, we seem to have lost our momentum. We should have realized that unless we continue to press on them with the engagement that we had started, they are not likely to go back. And because of that, I will not call it a mistake actually.
But what was happening was that both the sides were preparing themselves in a manner of speaking as if they will engage in some kind of a local action. But I do not know what has been the inside conversation or inside negotiations that somehow, as far as China was concerned, it was not interested in engagement because it had already gained or it had already grabbed the land that it wanted. Only country which wanted engagement was we in India because they had forcefully come on our land. Once we did not press that and they got involved in the process of talks and they initiated these talks and we also got involved with the talks, we somehow went on to believe them beyond what would have been expected. And because of this kind of a belief that we pressed on, now there is a situation in which they are sitting there in all the areas that they have come, and more time that they spend in these areas, let me tell you, they will keep on gaining their strength to stay there. In mountains, it's very difficult to dislodge an attacker by a defender. The advantage is always with the defender. So if they are going to defend the positions that they have occupied, they will have the advantage, and we will now find it extremely difficult to dislodge them from the areas where they have come. And not that we have misread the design, but somehow there were some mistakes which were made from our side, probably. I'm not in the know of all the decision-making issues which have taken place in the process. But initially, certain statements were made which were harmful for us. And therefore, they knew that those statements they were against us, and they put us on a little bit of a weaker ground. And after those statements, no matter whatever we did, it appears that
sorry
we
to
had
interrupt you.
gone
Are you
little
referring to the
defensive.
Prime Minister's statement?
Yes, I am referring to the statement which was made on 19th of June. That statement they had translated in Mandarin, and thereafter the narrative which they floated in their country was that it was India which had been the aggressor, and it was India which had attacked and which tried to capture their land. So as far as the China as a nation is concerned, they believe that we were the aggressors and not the Chinese PLA, which had actually transgressed into our area. And having done that, we did not press on their pushing back. We should have pushed them back. We should have carried on with our force. We had a lot of build-up that we went in for. But please understand that closer we are going to the winter, which generally starts by say September, October, the winter could start, the snowfall will start around October. The position of Chinese PLA is becoming stronger because they are sitting in their defenses. And for us, things will become more and more difficult because we need to attack and dislodge them from those areas. And I feel that this is where we are. We have been already delayed beyond the time which was required to push them back. And once they are allowed to sit for this one season, one complete winter, it will be very, very difficult or absolutely impossible to push them back as far as the next summer is concerned. In negotiations, I don't think they are going to give in because they never believe that they have ingressed into our land. They have always given a narrative that we have ingressed into their land. So that is a degree of difficulty that we are going to have as of now onwards.
No, if we talk about negotiations also, negotiations are like they have captured places. Now after that they are saying let us talk disengagement. So India is on the back foot. So we lost areas and now we are talking disengagement about what?
This is the problem, Somebody comes and sits in your house and then he says, let's talk and disengage and talk. What is there to talk?
So that is why I was
There is
talking
nothing
about.
to talk.
So that is why I was talking about. Did we misread the situation in the first place, initial days? We let them construct concrete bunkers, and now we hear that those bunkers or posts are being illuminated with solar power also. So it's a full-fledged, setup they are establishing there, and we are doing nothing.
The problem has been that time and again we have been getting into a denial mode. We have not been accepting the kind of encroachments that they have done, the kind of ingress they have made, the kind of preparations they have made after the ingress. They have strengthened their positions. There have been, in many ways, there have been contradictory reports. While many of the analysts would be accused of causing such contradiction, but the contradiction came more about due to the fact that there was no government agency which was trying to feed the correct information. So if the government sources or government per se doesn't come upfront to say as to what has happened, naturally there would be advantage taken off the kind of confusion that gets created and which has happened. Having gone into this kind of a situation, even now it appears that we seem to be in some way denial mode to say as to how much they have come forward, what are our alternatives, what are we thinking of as far as the creating greater deterrence for them is concerned. Just imagine if you really start thinking, we are also a nuclear power, and not a word has been mentioned as far as the deterrence power of the nuclear weapons are concerned. So I do not understand that. What are we waiting for? Unless we face Chinese with their strength, they are not going to listen to anything because they already have been planning for all this for years and they have come with full preparation. I have been saying it right from day one, and now that it has happened, it is something like they've given you the fait accompli. Now you can do nothing much about it, no matter what you talk about it.
So if I understood you correctly, sir, are you suggesting that India should take military action and any delay will be catastrophic?
The delay has already happened. I don't think
further delay. I will say further delay.
The window which is available now for next about 2 months or so, I don't think that window is adequate enough or the preparation which we have made. I have no access to what kind of preparations we have made, but whatever assessment can I make is not adequate to going for the offensive or going for a military action. And whatever deterrence that we have created, it seems that all kinds of deterrence, either they have not been put to use, they have not been practiced, they have not been applied, or they will never be applied. I'm absolutely at a loss of words to say as to what kind of a fait accompli that they have been able to give India, and we seem to be only involved in rhetorics and the domestic politics. That's all that I would like to say.
So, how much credence do you give to these talks that are being held at diplomatic level and military level? Is there any significance, or maybe you expect any outcome? I don't expect any outcome from these.
You see, if we actually go by the way the talks are structured, normally such talks flow from top to bottom, because it's only when diplomacy
fails that the use of force is resorted to. Therefore, the talks should have been first at a political level, where the political leadership of both the countries decide on the broad strategy or broad modalities of the talks, which will then be delegated to the diplomats and delegated to the military commanders. In this case, that kind of a delegation has not happened. For talks to succeed, it has to be top-down approach and not bottom-up approach. Because lower down you come on the top, the decision-making authority is all higher up, all on top. So if the decision-making is on top and talks are happening below that decision-making, naturally the decision-making process doesn't get involved. Obviously, the talks have been with the field commanders who do not have the final decision-making authority. They can only work out the modalities of disengagement, modalities of withdrawals. But whether the disengagement should happen or not, whether the withdrawal should happen or not, those decisions are decisions which are taken at a higher level. Therefore, the talks should have been top-down approach, not bottom-up approach. The biggest dichotomy which has taken place during all this crisis in last 3 months, which have puzzled me beyond imagination, that the talks have been bottom-up approach and not a top-down approach. That itself indicated to me that talks are going to be mere show-off, and these talks are not going to result into anything concrete because the way they were taking place. And the second thing is, from the Indian Army, we had a 3-star Lieutenant General heading the delegation for the talks, and from the PLA Chinese side, they had a 2-star Major General heading the talks.
Correct.
One can get away by saying that it is in their structure or in their command and control that Major General of PLA of Chinese was the equivalent of our Corps Commander or the 3-star. But the protocol-wise, obviously, they had put a pitch in a Major General while we had pitched in Lieutenant General. It's a very small point.
But it's a very crucial. It's a very crucial
point. That
it's a very crucial point. In fact, Chinese are
they scored a point there.
Chinese are known for sending out messages through these tactics.
Absolutely. That is why I'm saying, although it appears like a small point, but the way the Chinese behave, it's a major issue because the protocol-wise itself, there was no reason that we should have accepted this. Or we should have sent a Major General as well. He could have been equally competent to conduct these talks. But the way the talks went bottom-up approach, I had my apprehension that anything real will come out of it. And same thing has happened. They have been buying time. They have consolidated their positions. They have made themselves stronger. And there has been no indication whatsoever that they are in a mind or in a mood to withdraw. And that has been the stance of the PLA of Chinese right from day one. And then, on top of all this, they suffered casualties too. And if they have to honor their brave and their martyrs as much as we do, then definitely they are not going to give in for what they have gained at a cost.
So one more point, why actually I said that I don't expect any breakthrough in the talks is the mindset in China. The Chinese ambassador recently said that disengagement process is over. So they have created that. Now they are convinced themselves that it's over. There is nothing to. They have nothing to do now.
I mean,
So it's whatever has to be done by India.
at international level, I think there cannot be a bigger. I don't know how to put it. I'm at loss of words really. That how easily have they guideline
that they should go back. I mean, they're just saying that, look, as far as we are concerned, it's over. I mean, rest you have to decide. What have we to decide? It simply means they're arrogant enough. They're arrogant enough to convey to us that we have done what we have done. Now let us see what you do. It's all up to you. So ball is in our court. Now, having said that with this kind of an arrogance, I don't know how we are going to respond to this. But if, as a soldier, if you ask me, then our stance should have been right from day one. Aggression, aggression, and aggression. Because it's only the, not only the show of force, but the use of force that should have been resorted to if at all we wanted some tangible gains on the ground. If that has not happened until now, I think the window is reducing by the day, and I don't think anything is going to happen hereafter.
So we are running out of time. So one last question is that I want to ask. Now we have read reports that now India wants to discuss the protocol for patrolling and exchange of maps about the troop positions and all. Isn't it now, I mean, too late to do all those things? And particularly considering that you
What
can't trust
patrolling?
China.
I have also read the report that they have already told us not to beyond certain areas which traditionally we were doing. So what other protocols are required? They have already, those protocols would simply mean that our areas of patrolling have further been restricted. So I do not understand this part again, that having come as far forward as possible, having strengthened those positions, now what protocols? They are going to restrict our patrolling activities also. And my point is very simple. Even now, are we in a position to negotiate with them that this will hereafter remain the border between India and China, within brackets, Tibet? If we are able to negotiate this line up to which they have come, if we are able to negotiate this line up to which they have come as a border between India and China as far as the eastern Ladakh is concerned, which itself would north to south run into 400 to 500 kilometers. I mean, I have not actually seen what exactly the distance would be. I would still feel that at least one part of the criticality or one part of the dispute along the border would have been resolved right from Demchok, Shumer in the south to Depsong in the DBO in the north. I mean, are we in a position to negotiate this line which they are now holding as a border? My assessment or my answer would be no. They are not going to accept, even now, they are not going to accept this as a border between India and China. Therefore, what does it mean? It simply means that not only that they have come up to this point now, they have further designs that they will keep pushing this line more and more towards the west. What are we going to do then? Are we not making plans to say this and no more? Or will we keep on going back and back or allow them to keep coming forward and forward? So that is the kind of a thinking that we need to get into now, because their designs are very, very clear. Their designs are very, very clear that they are not going to withdraw from here, that they will not accept even this as the border between India and China. Therefore, they still have long way to go, and they will keep pushing this line more and more towards the west, and that is what we need to be prepared for.
So Chinese designs are clear and we don't know what we have to do. I hope Indian government takes real concrete steps in the near future. Thank you so much for participating in this debate, sir. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another important topic tomorrow. Till then, goodbye.